Shalom, shalom, Israel's brothers. Abba Allah coming back at you with the cold cut. I would like to give our praise to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. Right, going back into it with late nights, man. Right, what can I do to become a better teacher in this thing, man? Right, how do you become a better teacher in the truth? Hey, how can you become a better teacher overall, man? Right, the scriptures just don't tell you how to become a better teacher in the truth. It tells you how to be a better teacher in life, whether you teach in math or teaching a new concept, whatever, man. Right, what do you do to become a better teacher? Right, go to 2 Corinthians 6 and 2 Corinthians 6 and 3. All right, not going to be too long of a cold cut. All right, because my phone likes to shut off during the videos. It says I don't got too much storage on my phone, so we want to see what we can get in through the Spirit. Right, in 2 Corinthians chapter 6 and 3. All right, and it says, giving no offense in anything, that the ministry would not blame. So the first thing about being a good teacher is that you have to be a good example, right? You represent the nation of Israel. Ultimately, hey, whether you out at your job, whether you out with your, with your friends, whatever, hey, you represent Israel all times. You represent the Most High at all times, man, right? And it says, giving no offense in anything. So you can't give an offense in anything. You can't have a slip up, right? Because next thing you know, the whole ministry looks bad. Right, so because you don't want the ministry to be blamed, or you have to be an ambassador, right? This is 2 Corinthians 5 and 20. Now then, we are ambassadors for Hamashiach, as though the Most High did beseech you by us. We pray you in Hamashiach's stead that you be reconciled to the Most High. So if you're an ambassador, that means you represent something. Right? What are the ambassadors of China? What are the ambassadors of America? Those are certain men that go out to, or women, right? In this day and age, right? They'll go out to different countries and represent their nation. And if that person does folly, if that person does damn foolishness, guess what? That person doesn't look bad. They're not going to say, damn Sarah or damn John, right, made an ass out of himself. No, they're going to say the United States of America made an ass out of themselves. They're going to say, damn, Japan is a horrible and intolerable country because of that representative, man. So you have been an ambassador for the truth. If you go off and if you do something inexplainable before damn men in the world, hey, guess what? All Hebrew Israelites do such and such. No. All Hebrew Israelites is just like that, brother. Because I remember I seen that brother do this and this. So that means they all do that. Right? Guess what, man? You don't want to make their ministry look bad. So the first thing about being a great teacher is about being a great leader, man. You have to be an example, right? You have to be an example. All right? Go to Sirach chapter 6 and 33. All right, Sirach 6 and 33. All right, this is Sirach chapter 6 and verse 33. If thou love to hear, thou shalt receive understanding. And if thou bow thine ear, thou shalt be wise. So for you to be a great teacher, you got to be a great student. You have to learn how to be humble and understand you have to be taught again. And we're going to get that, right? But the Lord said, if you love to hear, you have to receive understanding, man. You got to love to hear. A lot of people don't love to hear. They love to hear themselves talk. They love to hear themselves talk. They don't love to hear, right? Because if they love to hear, then they wouldn't be talking as much and they will learn, right? And it says, thou shalt receive understanding. Our people will have understanding. They're going to understand the why. Understanding is the why. A lot of our people don't know the why because they don't like to stop talking. As a teacher, you got to be able to humble and you got to be able to listen and you got to be able to be a student. A great teacher is a great student, right? And it says, and if thou bow thine ear, if you bow to your ear, if you have your ear submit, then what does it say? And thou shalt be wise. Then you're going to become wise. But you have a lot of fools out here because they don't bow their ear. Hey, guess what? You got to learn from them people as well, right? Go to Hebrews 5 and 12. Is Hebrews 5 and 12. For the time you ought to be teachers, you have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of the Most High, and are become such as need of milk and not of strong meat. So if you want to start teaching, you got to be taught again. You have to be taught again. You may think you know everything, right? You may think you know a lot, all right? You may think you got some type of knowledge, but guess what? Hey, when you want to teach somebody else, you got to be able to be taught again. Right? Because knowing one thing and teaching something that you know is two different things. You got brothers that know a lot of different things. They can, go into it, whatever. But when it comes to time to actually have somebody else understand what they're going into and teaching it, being patient, slowing down, right? You have to be taught those attributes and those skill sets before you even become a teacher. And some people, they can't do that. That's why the Lord said you got to be taught again. What do you know? You're not taught the knowledge again, but how to teach, man. You can't just go into something with a brother and you don't know how he receives it. You don't know how he learns. You don't know his understanding. You have to be taught again the first principles, man. All right. And the first principles will teach you how to do that. All right. Let's go to the book of Sirach 5 and 11. All right. This is the book of Sirach 5 and 11. All right, this is the book of Sirach, chapter 5 and verse 11. And it says, be swift to hear. The Lord said you got to be quick to hear. You got to be like that to hear, man. You have two ears. What they say, 2 ears and 1 mouth in the world. You got 2 ears and 1 mouth, man. Use those ears of yours, man. You got 2 ears and 1 mouth. You got to be swift to hear. And it says, and let thy life be sincere, and with patience give answer. The Lord didn't say hurry up and give answer. The Lord didn't say cut somebody off when they're talking to give answer. The Lord said with patience give answer. Think about what you're going to say. Think about what that person's saying. Think about that. What you're about to say is going to either help that person, right, or hurt yourself, man. Think about that, man. What you're about to say next, right? With patience give answer. And that's what being a great teacher. You have to be able to listen to questions, listen to counsels, and then don't just go off what you think or your impulse. With patience, go into the words of the Lord, find the correct counsel, and then give answer. All right? It will be more profitable. Second part of being a teacher is going to 2 Corinthians 11 and 6. This is 2 Corinthians 11 and 6. But though I be rude in speech, yet not in knowledge, but we have been thoroughly made manifest among you in all things. So Paul said he was rude in speech. Paul was out there getting on them, man. Paul was out there getting on them, man. Right? Bringing out the truth. He didn't care. He withstood Peter to the face, man. Paul was, they said, he was rude in speech, but not in knowledge. Paul knew what he was talking about. But just because it didn't come off the same way you wanted it to come off, guess what? He was breaking it down, man. Right? And that's how you got to be. You have to be authoritative, right? Not be an asshole, right? Part of my language, shalakia. But you got to be authoritative on the streets, man. Stop being a pushover, all right? Somebody kind of come up scoffing, you kind of just silent the whole time. You take over your platform. Hey, man, now you got to rebuke that demon, right? You got to be authoritative on the streets. You got to let them know what platform, or even when you're teaching, you got to know what platform those people are coming on, man. It's your platform. You got the answers, man, right? You should not have the answers, right? You got to have the answers. All right, let me get that real quick. Go to Sirach chapter 5. That's part of being authoritative, because when you're authoritative, you're confident, right? If you're not confident, you're not going to be authoritative. And therefore, if you're not authoritative, you're going to be weak. And the wolves are going to sift you out, right, with their scoffing and questions, right? This is Sirach chapter 5 and verse 15. Be not ignorant in anything. Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or small. And that's a commandment. You can't be ignorant of any great thing or small matter, man. If you're a teacher, if you claim to be a teacher in Israel, if you claim to be a mighty man, right, or a person that people look up to, you got to have some answers, man. You got to study all night for the answers that you don't know, just in case that one time that person might ask that question, right? You see it happens all the time. You may know, that person ain't going to ask a question. Then at the next camp, that person come up with that question, and now you confound in front of the whole congregation, and you got your head down, man. So you got to be authoritative. When authoritative comes confidence, you got to know what you got to say. All right, because Yahushua was authoritative. Yahushua was confident in what he was preaching. If you're not confident in what you're preaching or the answers that you got, then you're not going to be authoritative. You have to be authoritative. And how do you be authoritative if you're not confident? Study. Study to show yourself approved. All right, let's go to Matthew. Mark, Shalaki. All right, let's go to Mark 1 and 22. This is Mark chapter 1 and verse 22. And it says, and they were astonished at his doctrine, for he taught them as one that had authority and not as the scribes. He taught that one that had authority. He had bass in his voice. Voice as the multitude of waters, getting on people, rebuking them, telling them their doctrine, telling them what the Lord's coming to do, coming with 10,000 of his saints. He didn't teach as a scribe. He didn't teach as a Pharisee. He wasn't soft-spoken, right? The Lord was authoritative out there because he was confident. You got to be authoritative, man, right? You have to be an authoritative. And that's what leaders do. That's what teachers do. They're authority because they take authority, man. What if the teacher in the classroom was an authoritative, right? The kids, they would do whatever they want to. Recess would be 3 hours long. They'll come back inside with mud, right? And telling the teacher, shut up, spitting spitballs at the teacher, slapping the teacher upside the head, talking about homework ain't due until next year. And they leave class and go home. Because the teacher says, okay, I'll see you next year. Right? No, guess what? You got to be authoritative, man, when you teach it. No, sit down, man. No, let me tell you what it is. Go to this precept, bring out this, and that's what it's talking about, right? If you hold on, no, go back to this, right? Guess what? You got to be authoritative. That's what you got to do, right? And like I said, you got to be ready to give an answer to every man, right? Let me go to 1 Peter 3:15. This is the book of 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 15. But sanctify the Lord the Most High in your hearts, and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asketh you a reason of the hope that is in you with meekness and fear. So, plain as day, hey, you got to be ready to give answer to all men, man, always, man. Right? Every time a person, you got to know that, man. And you got to be confident. And if somehow you don't know that, guess what? You better find it out. You go to Proverbs. You got to find that out, man. Right? You don't want to be that brother calling on different brothers, man. Hey, brother, what's this precept? I'm trying to break down the scripture. Somebody, what's that? You should know the precept, brother. Now, if you're coming into this thing, you do understand that, because I did the same thing, kind of calling different brothers for precepts when I was trying to wake up other people, and all I knew was Deuteronomy 28 and 68, maybe some precepts from Matthew, and that was it. But hey, if you really studied and you desire to be a teacher, you got to know these precepts, man. Right? Stop asking brothers if you don't know the precepts. You got to know these precepts. But if you don't know these precepts, the Lord said in Proverbs 25:2, it is the glory of the Most High to conceal a thing. Right? So you may not know a matter, so it's concealed. You don't know it. You got to find it out. Right? But the honor of kings is to search out a matter. So if you're a king, it's an honor for you to search out that matter that you just somehow don't know. Right? If you don't know, hey, search it out. That's what a king do. That's what a king does. All right? So let's go to Colossians 4:6. It's going into that giving answers, man. You got to give answers when they do. When a person asks you, man, because you're a teacher and you're a scholar. All right? And you got to show you got to show that wisdom forth. All right? It's Colossians chapter 4:8, 4:6. Let your speech be always with grace. Right? Shlaki, let your speech be always with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how you ought to answer every man. So you got to let your speech be seasoned with salt. You got to be with grace, that you may know how to answer every man. All right, and that man can be an Edomite. That man can be an Edomite with your Bible scoffing at you, man. Right, asking questions. Guess what? You got to know how to give answer with salt, man. Kind of season it up a little bit, man. Right? Hey, that person may be a young Judite girl trying to come into the truth, and she kind of seen a video on a damn Revelations 13 breakdown on accident. Now she wants to know who's that beast in that leopard in Revelations 13:2. And you got to answer it, man. Chiefly break down the scriptures to her, but you got to answer that question too, right? And you got to let it be. Like I said, you have to know how to ought to answer every man. All right, let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 6:10. This is Wisdom of Solomon 6:10. For they that keep holiness holy shall be judged holy, and they have learned such things shall find what to answer. So like I said, if you've been studying, if you've been going through these scriptures, you should be confident in what answers you should be able to give people, man. Right? Because guess what it says? And they that have learned such things shall find what to answer. And like I said, if you're a brother or a brother or a sister that's trying to teach another sister, right? You want to become a better teacher. You have to be authoritative, but you also got to know how to answer every person, man. Right? You got to know the answers to these certain things, man. Right? So those are the two things, right? You got to be humble and understand how to learn, how to be a student, be taught again, being authoritative, understanding confidence, and having, know how to answer every man. But also, you can't stop prophesying. All right, go to Numbers 11 and 25. You cannot cease from prophesying. All right, this is Numbers 11 and 25. All right, and you can't be the only teacher in this thing. We want all of our brethren to be teachers. You got to know how to teach other people to be teachers. Right? It's Numbers 11 and verse 26, 25. And the Lord came down in a cloud and spake to him and took him in the spirit that was with him. And it came to pass, and gave it, and took him in the spirit and that was upon him and gave it to the 70 elders. And it came to pass that when the spirit rested upon him, they prophesied and did not cease. You got to be able to prophesy and not stop. You got to prophesy and not cease. You got to keep doing it. Right? Hey, because guess when you prophesy and you're teaching the scriptures. You're breaking it down. Right? You're going over it, man. So when you prophesy, you always teaching, man. Do not cease from prophesying. Do not cease from teaching. And it says, but there could remain two of the men in the camp. The name of the one is Eldad and the other Medad, and the spirit rested upon them, and they were of them that were written, but went not out unto the tabernacle, and they prophesied in the camp. And there ran a young man and told Moses and said, Eldad and Medad do prophesy in the camp. And Joshua, the son of the servant of Moses, one of his young men, answered and said, my Lord, Moses forbid them. And Moses said unto him, enviest thou me for my sake? Would God that all the Lord's people were prophets, and that the Lord would put his spirit upon them. Hey, we say that all the time. Would God that all the Most High's men were prophets, and he put the spirit upon them. Right? It shouldn't just be the same brothers. You always watching a live. You teach. Hey, there should be Israelite camps on every corner of the world, man. Every street corner that you see right now. Hey, the work not done until every damn camp is on every corner teaching and prophesying to the people until the Lord comes back, man. Right? You can't cease from prophesying. And you shouldn't want other brothers to cease from prophesying as well, just so you can have vainglory, man. You want other brothers to teach. You want other brothers to grow in this thing, man. It's a family business. It's the biggest family business in the world, right? It's not about you. It's not about your teachings. And who cares if you're a great teacher? Get that brother that you've been teaching to be a better teacher than you, man. And then have that brother teach another brother to be a better teacher than him, and so on.